The Xiaomi Mi CC9 Pro is set to be launched globally as the Mi Note 10. And from all of the upcoming specs, rumors, leaks, and just kind of general information I can find about it, this is probably going to be my next cell phone. And here's why. Before we get into this, if you guys have photos you want to share, go ahead, check out Xiaomitography, check out my Twitter. I have tons of written content on my website for you guys to check out. Let's just hop into this. Now I'm gonna jump into the 5 reasons why this is more likely than not going to be my next phone. And the first one is the CPU. The Snapdragon 730G is an overclocked version of the Snapdragon 730. It's built on the 8nm platform, which means it's going to be getting pretty similar power efficiency to the Snapdragon 855, which is built on the 7nm platform. Also, because this is an Android device and it will more likely than not be a unlockable device for bootloaders and stuff like that, I'll be able to then underclock that 730G to the similar speed of a normal Snapdragon 730, and that is pretty okay for me. Right now I have my Snapdragon 855 on my Redmi K20 Pro, underclocked 25% with no real negatives. Now, if you are buying this device and you plan on underclocking it, you're gonna wanna get the device with more RAM because you're gonna leave more apps open in the background, and to have that quick switching in between apps, I would say more RAM is probably a better idea. Next, it's going to have over a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, at least according to the leaks of the Mi CC9 Pro Mi Note 10, which is an absolutely insanely large battery. For comparison, my Mi Pad 4, which is now a year and a half old, is a tablet with a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, a Snapdragon 660, and a 8-inch display. So I'm probably gonna be seeing equal to not better battery life on a display that's really similar in size, but it's going to be a phone. For me, on average, it's going to be 2 days of battery life, and having 2 days of battery life is going to significantly affect the overall battery health in the long run because you're not having to put so many charge cycles on the battery. The next is the cameras. Now, I don't think that 100 megapixel Samsung sensor is going to get us extremely good low light, even with all the pixel binning and stuff like that, but it's going to offer OIS, or at least the Pro model of this is going to be offering OIS. And right now, on none of the Xiaomi devices, you can get 4K 60 with EIS. So if you're able to get 4K 60 with the device, normally the fact that it's going to have optical image stabilization is going to go a really long way to getting you 4K 60 with some type of stabilization on a Xiaomi device. Also, it's gonna have a 5 camera array with a macro camera and then a 5x telephoto camera. To make room for all these cameras, they have to make the chassis bigger, which is why it's gonna have that 5,000 milliamp hour battery. But it's going to have probably the best smartphone on any Xiaomi device and one of the best cameras in the smartphone industry, at least for still photos. Next is going to be the bigger display. Here in Vietnam, everyone uses shoulder bags or fanny packs, or they have some other type of bag that you normally wear. I do as well. When I ride my motorbike, when I go places, I always have some type of small bag. So for me to have a device that kind of blurs the lines between a small tablet and big smartphone isn't that big of a deal. In fact, I would prefer something like that because it's easier to see when I'm on my motorcycle, if I want to use it as GPS on my bike and have it up on a phone. And overall, the bigger display isn't something that's going to be a kind of a downside for me, and it's going to be an OLED display as well, which is going to be fantastic, especially with all the dark mode tweaks and stuff like that. The next reason is it's going to have a micro SD card slot. Now, a lot of people like having the micro SD card slot on devices already because they don't want to spend more for a model with more storage. For me, at least, the story of why I want to have the micro SD card kind of expandability is I like being able to take my device offline. If I go on a motorcycle trip here, I like being able to have the dedicated storage. And another thing, which is a feature that people really don't talk about, is if you have a device with a micro SD card and you are using it to take photos. Let's say I drop my device in water and the device breaks. I'm still going to most likely be able to get my images off the micro SD card in the cell phone itself. So if you're looking for a kind of backup or kind of a safeguard for taking photos and you want that stuff to kind of be more secure or have access to it, even if you break your phone, having a device where your images are automatically stored to your micro SD card is going to go a long way towards being able to at least recover most of those files. Already I use Google Photos and everything is backed up, but obviously having 100 megapixel files and having the ability to have so much versatility in the camera, I'm gonna be using the device a lot and I'm gonna be doing a ton of videos about it, but those files are going to be taking up a lot of room on the device. Having that micro SD card with such a high megapixel camera, for me, is one of those things that if they were not offering that expandable storage, I would be less likely to get the device simply because I want to use it a lot for photography. If you guys are interested in getting this device, I'll have links to where you can probably pre-order it down below. If you want to go ahead and drop some questions about that, I'd be more than happy to answer them when I get the device. Obviously, it hasn't officially launched yet. And until next time, it's been Mitchell. Peace.